build investor audiences for small cap companies, retail and institutional. 33 years, thousands of clients. We are experts in messaging. National TV ad campaigns, investor webinars, digital media, reaching hundreds of thousands of investors. RedChip. We do it well, we do it right, we do it big. RedChip. Call us or email us today.
Hi, this is Craig Brailsford with RedChip Companies. Thank you for joining today's event with Jackpot Digital, which trades on the OTCQB under the ticker JPOTF, on the TSX Venture Exchange under the ticker JJ, and on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange under the ticker LVH3. With us today, we have President and CEO Jake Kalpakian and VP of Corporate Development, Matthew McDonald. We will begin with a brief presentation in a moment, and then we will answer your questions. Users may submit a question at any time by using the Q&A button at the bottom of the Zoom window. Before we begin, please allow me to read the Safe Harbor Statement. This call may contain forward-looking statements within the meaning of the Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. All statements pertaining to future financial and/or operating results, along with other statements about the future expectations, beliefs, goals, plans, or prospects expressed by management, constitute forward-looking statements. Any statements that are not historical fact should also be considered forward-looking statements. Of course, forward-looking statements involve risks and uncertainties. I now turn this webinar over to Jake and Matt. Gentlemen, please go ahead.
Thank you, Craig. I'd like to welcome everyone to Jackpot Digital's webinar. We're very excited to have hosting you and for you joining us. Today, we want to talk about our company, Jackpot Digital, and the unique company and opportunity it presents. It's not every day that you can invest in a business. There's a legal disclaimer. It's not every day, you can show the legal disclaimer, thank you. It's not every day you can invest in a company that's number one in its position globally at such a low and attractive valuation and has such room to grow. Well, Jackpot Digital is exactly that, with a very unique and innovative product and global opportunity. I like to call it a Goldilocks monopolistic opportunity, and that's exactly what the company has, what I call a very innovative product called our Jackpot Blitz table. It's an electronic dealer's poker table, but it's so much more. It's very similar to an iTable or an iPad, but consider it of table size. But we wanted to concentrate and build what we call the best poker experience for the player. We've taken many years of developing this product, and we finally have, I think, refined it to a state where it's gaining enormous acceptance globally, and we expect this product to be in casinos worldwide within the next 3 years. It was a very unique confluence of events that we got involved with this business, and ever since, we've been able to attract more and more talent at this unique opportunity. As I said, our flagship product is the Jackpot Blitz, and while it is a poker dealer's product, it does so much more. But instead of me talking about it, we have a small video to present to you to give you a better understanding of the product itself.
Thanks very much, Jake. Hi, everybody. I'm Matt McDonald with Jackpot Digital. As Jake mentioned, we'd like to introduce this product featuring Hall of Fame Super Bowl winning football coach Jimmy Johnson. He's our brand ambassador. He's going to tell you all about Jackpot Blitz, and I'll hit play and let you enjoy this video.
Jimmy Johnson here. I've coached championship teams in college and pro football, so I know a thing or two about winning. That's why I've joined up with another winner, Jackpot Digital. This company has already revolutionized the casino gaming industry with their dealerless electronic poker tables. And now they're at it again. Introducing the new Jackpot Blitz, a state-of-the-art electronic poker table that offers the ultimate user experience for players and boosts revenue, controls costs, eliminates staffing headaches, and improves the bottom line for casinos. For players, the Jackpot Blitz has a top-of-the-line 4K ultra-sensitive touchscreen with incredible card-bending technology that replicates actual card play. It offers real-time tracking of player stats, bankrolls, player bonuses, and much more. The Jackpot Blitz has easy ways to buy in with cash or player cards at every single seat. Plus, it's got a place to put your drink or other stuff if you need it. As a coach, I hated penalties. Well, no delay of game with Jackpot Blitz. This table deals more poker hands per hour than any product on the market. Jackpot Blitz allows casinos to operate automated poker tournaments of all types, saving time and money. You can run tournaments non-stop, 24/7. With no dealer mistakes or disputes, the Jackpot Blitz has become known as the friendly table. It's more fun for all. Players can make poker side bets or audible to an ever-increasing library of casino games, including baccarat, blackjack, and video poker. The Jackpot Blitz also offers a bad beat progressive jackpot. Give players what they want, more action and more fun. So don't fold the winning hand. I'm all in with the Jackpot Blitz, and you should be too.
Okay, so that was a lot of fun making that video with Coach Jimmy, and just bear with me one moment. He was a lot of fun to work with, and that says it all. I mean, he really outlined our value proposition. We're a company that's manufacturing what's called electronic table games in a very niche space, which is poker. I want to tell you a little bit about what electronic table games are for the uninitiated. If you were to walk into a casino about 10 years ago, you might have seen one ETG tucked in the very back corner of the casino being tested out as a new way to offer operational efficiencies for casinos. Fast forward to today, and in many casinos, ETGs have completely taken over the entire floor. It's completely automated, and it allows the casinos to offer games that are traditionally dealt by dealers like craps and blackjack and baccarat and various games like that and roulette, all done automated without the need for a dealer. Anybody who knows anything about the casino business knows that since the 1950s, casinos have been basically riding a macro trend towards automation, starting with slot machines, and then fast forward to today, the introduction and the explosion of the electronic table games market. Jackpot Blitz occupies basically, as Jake said, a monopolistic position in our particular niche, which is electronic poker tables. Nobody else in the market manufactures a GLI certified licensed product that deals poker automated. And that's really allowed a small company like Jackpot Digital to compete head to head and often win against some of the biggest players in the industry. And you can see here, we have a very reputable list of clients already, even though we've just launched our next generation Jackpot Blitz in 2023 was when we first got certified for the product. And you can see initially one of our legacy largest customers, the Carnival Cruise Lines and their subsidiaries such as Princess and so forth, has been successful on those ships for a long time. But now, as you can see, we've launched into land-based casinos. We have a master deal with Penn Entertainment, which is the largest regional casino operator in the entire United States, as well as several tribal casinos throughout the United States as well. So I think this slide really speaks to how quality this product is, how it solves a real problem in the casino industry that nobody else solves. Poker is a game that's very popular in the casino space. But it's actually, even though it brings in excellent revenue for casinos, it's quite expensive for casinos to offer traditional poker. It's slow, it's very labor intensive. Dealer costs really skyrocketed, especially after the pandemic. As we all know, inflation kicked in and the cost of labor increased dramatically. It became almost cost prohibitive for casinos to offer poker, and many casinos simply closed their poker rooms. Enter Jackpot Blitz, and this is the problem we really solve. If you were to come and watch us display our table at trade shows like the Global Gaming Expo, you would hear casinos over and over again say the same thing. wow, this solves my problem. I closed my poker room. I want to offer poker. I know I have a poker audience. I know I have guests who want poker. I just can't do it economically. And that's where Jackpot Blitz really solves this problem for casinos. The benefits of the product, it's obviously higher revenue, faster gameplay, more hands per hour, lower costs, no dealer mistakes, and the tables actually become known as the friendly table amongst players in poker circles. As far as for players go, they also get faster gameplay. Poker players are looking to grind out more and more hands per hour, and Jackpot Blitz delivers. It delivers about 55 hands per hour versus about 28 hands per hour for a live dealer. So on a full table, you're just getting more revenue per hour from a Jackpot Blitz table than you are from a live dealt poker table. So we solve a real problem in the business, and nobody else does exactly what it is that we do. How do we make money? It's very straightforward. We have three general revenue sources. First is flat fee monthly recurring revenue from table leases. So some of our partners will just sign up and for a flat monthly fee, and that's a recurring revenue that we collect on a monthly basis from the casinos. Our most common form of business model is a revenue participation. We'll install the Jackpot Blitz onto casino floors, and then we share in the revenue that those machines generate on the floor of that casino. And of course, as well, we will sell tables outright to certain jurisdictions. Most of our table sales are coming outside of North America in the international market. We're seeing an explosion in sales in the market of Vietnam, for example, because Vietnam has many gaming halls which are mandated by the government as no dealer, digital only. There are also gaming lounges such as also in markets such as Jamaica, which Jake will talk about a little bit more later in the presentation, which again are there's a preponderance of gaming lounges which have mandated no dealers. It's all digital, which is a fertile ground for obviously expanding our Jackpot Blitz. So because of our table sale business, our revenue from quarter to quarter as an early stage company can be fairly volatile. But we expect that to start to smooth out as our revenue participation and recurring revenue table lease business continues to grow. I'm going to pass the presentation to the President CEO, Jake Kilpakian, and he's going to talk about our growth strategy and our outlook for expansion.
Thanks, Matt. Traditionally, when we originally started with this business, we were only in the cruise ship business. And in the cruise ship business, the regulatory requirements are not, there are really no requirements except to be 3 miles offshore. What was very interesting with the original genesis of the business was that there was an adoption by the cruise customers. And I thought, with this product, if it ever got into the regulated market, it could explode and become very popular and very successful. So our intent was to expand our footprint from the cruise ships, which was really a very small percentage of the business. It's less than 1% of the actual gaming market, compared to and expand it into the regulated markets. And when I say regulated markets, there's two segments. There's the tribal market, which is almost equal. It's arguably as big or slightly bigger than the commercial markets or the regulated markets by the states and provinces. So the tribal market is one that's very large, and it's one that we're expanding at a very quick clip. Most of our tribal deployments and installations so far have been in the tribal markets, and we're expanding our footprint very quickly in that market. And I expect there's about 500 tribes. We will have virtually, I think, a significant amount of that 500 tribes in the next 3 years that own and operate casinos. They will be installing our tables. In fact, we have a broad range from multiple states. I think it's 12 plus states that have and growing on the tribal markets. And I anticipate will be well over 40 states in the next couple of years. Some of the biggest names, including operators in the tribal market that are bigger than the traditional commercial markets with the blue brand chip names that you know of, are expressed interest or have ordered our tables, and we expect to have deployment in the next 30 to 90 days in some cases, and we expect that process to continue throughout the foreseeable future. What we're also excited about is the commercial land-based regulated market, which is regulated by government entities such as gaming commissions in the United States or here in Canada, lottery corporations. We're excited to say that we signed in Ontario, we got licensing approval, which we just got the renewal this today, actually. And we also got our tables with Lotto Quebec. And we're expanding here in Canada, and I think there's no question that we'll be in many more provinces. But the biggest market, of course, is the United States, and we're very excited about that market. And I'm very excited to tell you that we were, since last time we spoke, I believe we got licensed in Mississippi, which is a very large achievement. It's a gaming destination state, and it has an enormous amount of casinos, and we'll get to that in a moment. But in addition to Mississippi, we have several other states that are under the licenses are well underway in a couple of cases, one of which we'll know by next week if we'll get a favorable response for a gaming license. So we're expecting to expand our footprint in the licensing regulated market, both on the tribal side, of course, but also on the commercial side. And that would include some of the biggest names or brand names that you guys are used to that have multiple properties in multiple states. And the key with that is we believe it will not only continue to grow in the US, but we expect that trend, which we're seeing now, to follow throughout the world. We're getting interest globally from everywhere. But we believe just in the United States and Canada, the opportunity is so large that for a small company like us, we have an opportunity to really make industry and become an industry juggernaut and investment darling. Because most of you are here because of what Jackpot Digital represents as an investment. And I can tell you that as we go through this licensing process, although it's frustrating and time consuming, and it's like that for everyone, it's just the customary process, it does act as a moat around the business. So while this is some tough sledding, we're well underway, and we expect to have a lot of this map colored in green within the next 12 months. Matt, next, if we can keep going. Just recently, just to show you our momentum with our business, just in Q4, we installed 15 tables, and we can install a lot more. We're just waiting on licensing. Just for example, the 15 tables you see that are pinpointed on maps are all tribal business. We have other orders in place on the commercial side that are non-tribal, but we were waiting for licensing, and I'll address that in a moment. But we do have many more tribal orders, and we are now in the final stages of making deployment plans on multiple properties on the tribal side. In regards to the gaming side, on the commercial side, such as a state like Mississippi, our product is in the lab and the Mississippi State Gaming Lab, and very much the customary processes. Even though you get all the approvals with the regulators, each state likes to run testing on their own. The product in Mississippi right now, and we expect testing to be finalized or completed in the next week, maybe 2 weeks. And then after that, the tables are slated already to go to 2 Penn properties for further field testing for about 60 days. And then the whole state is opened up to us. So that's the process, is like rinse and repeat in multiple states. And as I said, next week, we hope to hear a favorable response for another big state, gaming destination state in the Midwest. And that would be our 3rd state in addition to Maine, which was our 1st state that we received. So our focus is the tribal market and just blanket the country. But on the commercial side, there's no reason why we can't aggressively go after that market. Our strategy is to go after the gaming destination states, the ones that you know of, such as Nevada, New Jersey, etc., Mississippi, and several others in the Midwest. But at the same time, there's some other strategic states that we're pinpointing, and we have licensing underway. That's the goal for 2026, is to cover this map with as much green licensing approvals as possible. And we're very excited that this is going to happen. We've got a system in place. We've got compliance officers in place that just work on licensing. And because that's the only bottleneck really that we see in this business, the demand for our product is there. It's as if we're introducing the iPhone for the bricks and mortar poker industry with an iTable that's specialized for just poker. So Matt, if we could keep going.
Sure. So what I'm going to do here is just zoom out. Jake's covered sort of our overall macro strategy. And now what I'd like to do is focus in on where our next steps are, what our next major catalyst is. As Jake alluded to, just before I get to the next slide, all of our business, or the lion's share of our business, our new expansion into land-based casinos, has come from the tribal business, which is low-hanging fruit. It's very easy to get the licenses at most tribal casinos, and it's just a one-off. It can take 30, 60 days, somewhere in that range. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we have a master agreement with Penn Entertainment, which is the largest regional casino operator in the United States. They have they have casinos in 43 properties in 20 different states. So the next stage of evolution in terms of the expansion for Jackpot Blitz is into the commercial gaming market, the commercial state licenses. Those licenses take a little bit longer to get, but once you get them, you're not just licensed for one tribal casino. As you can see here in the state of Mississippi, Jake mentioned this is a gaming destination. Everybody knows about the early days of the river boats in Biloxi, and those were the first casinos in Mississippi. And after a couple of hurricanes, they decided they wanted to be a full-on legalized gaming state and allow land-based casinos as well. There's now 28 casinos in the state of Mississippi, and Mississippi ranks in the top third of U.S. casino jurisdictions, as you can see on this slide in the top left there. 2.4 billion in gross gaming revenue in 2024, which is one of the hottest gaming destinations in the United States. So having recently announced just this past quarter that we had achieved and received the Mississippi Commercial State Gaming License is no small achievement. We're very excited about this market, and we intend to cover the entire marketplace. You can see on the map on the right, there's many casinos along the Gulf Coast. There's more of a subtropical area where people go and hang out at the beach and go to casinos, all the way up the Mississippi River to Tunica. And we, as Jake had mentioned, already have interest to do field trials from our partner, Penn Entertainment. And this is going to be our first Penn Entertainment properties that we install into. So those two properties are called Hollywood Gulf Coast, which is near Biloxi, and as well Boomtown, Biloxi. And we'll be doing field trials for those two tables for a period of 60 days. After that, we're cleared to basically blanket the entire state. So as Jake mentioned, we're very excited about this sort of next stage of the expansion for Jackpot Digital. We started with the cruise ships, obviously, because there's no regulatory oversight at all. Then moved to launch into land-based casinos with the tribal business, which is really the low-hanging fruit. And finally, now we've reached this stage of starting to get commercial state destination licenses, Mississippi being the first. But as Jake alluded to in the previous slide, we've got other jurisdictions you could see there that are outlined in blue, which we're very close, we believe, to obtaining approval on. There's obviously no guarantees, but these are also very large gaming markets. Louisiana is I believe, the fifth largest gaming market in the United States. So coupled with Mississippi and potentially adding Louisiana and Michigan in the near term, we're very excited to be able to sort of ramp up the expansion past the low-hanging fruit. We'll still go after the tribal business. We've got a ton of business in the tribal casinos, but now graduating into larger state commercial licenses, a very exciting milestone for Jackpot Digital. And now I'd like to turn the presentation back to Jake so he can address a real competitive advantage that casinos are using Jackpot Blitz for on the ground in their casinos.
So thanks, Matt. So ultimately, at the end of the day, we can always talk about opportunity, but you have to have a product that is adopted and is wanted by the public and by your customers. So if we said to you, whatever business you owned, how would you like to have more revenue, increase your revenues, lower your expenses, and eliminate your HR headaches. What business owner wouldn't want that? And that's what our Jackpot Blitz table does. So that's what it does at a macro level. Now, where is the inherent competitive advantage for the poker operation? Well, if you know much about poker, a lot of poker, the health of a poker room is very much linked many times to its tournament offerings. Tournaments are a vital backbone to any successful poker operation. And with tournaments, it's low yielding and sometimes a lost leader where they lose money, but it brings in the player base. It builds up the player base for people to stick around once they're knocked out of the tournament to play cash games. And tournaments are something that are basically very popular. And it's what really saw the explosion of poker in the 2000s was the tournament play. Of course, there was other reasons like the internet, but tournaments are absolutely fundamental. And this is the one area where although there's multiple advantages our product has over live dealer tables, tournaments are absolutely key. And what we've done is made sure that we are going to focus on building this advantage and increasing that lead in the marketplace. Why I say that is we're just seeing the fruits of that pay off right now. If you take a look at the testimonials of the 3 casinos you see on the screen, basically they are using poker tournaments to bring back poker. In some cases, they shut down poker after COVID and only restarted it with our tables. And tournaments are a big reason. And you can see from the testimonials, not only are they looking at building a poker business, but then the complementary uh, cash games that follow after that on the tournament side. So tournaments are something that we can do because you don't need many dealers very quickly. If you ran a 300 person table, 300 tournaments, 300 person tournament, you would probably need close to 30 plus dealers. With us, you wouldn't need one. Everything would be self-automated. And for this reason, we are increasing our customization towards tournament software. And I'm pleased to say we should receive very recently, very soon, GLI approval for the next upgrade of our software so that we can put the new features out for the benefit of our tournament, for our casino customers for further tournament play. So there are many different features and customizations for tournament action that we have applied for with GLI, and we expect to get that. It will only strengthen our hand, if you will, with tournaments. So our focus is to not only build terrific tournament tables, which will of course lead to other further business, but we've also set on our strategy of what differentiates us from a live dealer, what makes us a product that the casino needs or requires to have a successful poker operation. And so we are stressing our advantages not only on tournaments, but on other features that live dealers can't do. Our iTable or our Jackpot Blitz can provide other features and other customization that a live dealer just can't do. And we're looking to press that advantage to our benefit. And I believe the health of this business will greatly be positively impacted by this strategy. And we're very excited. We've now talked to several people within the industry, and they really like the strategic outlook and plan we have with the new products and features we're building in, that we're making this product, instead of, well, I'm interested in it, to a must have. And that is what the direction of this product is. And we're hopeful that this company becomes a must have in the stock portfolio of the investors as well. But tournaments is absolutely critical. And as you can see from the testimonials, we intend to increase that lead. We've also been approached by some very leading large tournament brands to hopefully have our table as an event itself at one of these tournaments. And we're just waiting again on that all too golden licensing, regulatory licensing, to be able to do that. So I think in the very short future, we might see our product as a tournament event itself. So in addition to running daily tournaments, but for instance, at the World Series of Poker, it's very conceivable one day one of the events will be, instead of just a specific poker game, an event would be placed just on our tables for some of the events. Matt, if we could go to the next slide, please.
Okay, so from a macro level, the things that are driving growth, the criteria that's driving growth for Jackpot Digital is really, as I mentioned, the expansion into the regulated land-based casinos. We started as a cruise ship company. We launched this product. First time we launched it was back in 2023, and showed it to casino managers at trade shows, and we were literally getting pulled in many different directions, saying, "How fast can you get this onto my casino floor?" That's when we endeavored to, as you can see the picture of the cash out ticket there, introduce a ticket in, ticket out functionality onto the table. It took some time to get it developed and certified, and we launched the first next generation land-based product in 2024, and it's just now starting to accelerate. So obviously expansion into our land-based casinos, that's the biggest market. Big milestone with Mississippi and many more coming. On the cruise ship side, not only do we have our legacy customers on cruise ships, but we also have Royal Caribbean, which was a deal we announced prior to the COVID pandemic, and it kind of went on hold for obvious reasons. Cruise ships suffered greatly during the pandemic, but it's been brought back to life, and we're currently testing in the lab at Royal Caribbean right now. That would be a brand new cruise ship customer for us if we were to seal that deal, if you will. It's looked very positive, and Royal Caribbean has many dozens of ships in their fleet, and we're optimistic that we'll be able to install across the entire fleet. Again, no guarantees, but we're working towards that with our partners at Royal Caribbean right now. In addition to our cruise ships and obviously the expansion to land-based business, we're looking at the launch of new games, and Jackpot Blitz, because it is it's essentially a smart table, as we like to call it affectionately, because it looks a lot like an iPad. It's just a very large one. And so unlike the form factor of many other ETGs or electronic table games in the market, you can really leverage our form factor, our touch screen, into many, many different types of games. And we actually have endeavored to do this at the last Global Gaming Expo in Las Vegas. We did introduce the new Blitz Heads Up Challenge. And this is our first title, which will actually be a house bank game on the casino floor. We're very excited about this because it basically are mirrors or copies Ultimate Texas Hold'em, which is one of the most popular table games in casinos around the United States and around the world. So it's a familiar poker experience. It's a chance for players to come up and play the table. Even if there's nobody else at the table, they can come up and play single play. And it's a dealerless table game essentially. And it shows you, I mean, obviously this is part of a broader strategy to be able to introduce multiple house bank games onto the casino floor. It's a familiar form factor because many electronic table games sort of isolate the player. If you go and play a blackjack electronic table game of some of our competitors, you're sitting by yourself. Whereas you can see here on the image that's in front of you, this form factor allows players to do something that they're already familiar with, which is sit down at a table game around a semicircular format and sit and smoke and drink and chat together and play the game together against the dealer. And that's exactly what Jackpot Blitz delivers. So we call it an iTable or a smart table. And this is our first title that we'll be launching hopefully in the first half of 2026 into the marketplace.
So just to talk about company highlights for Jackpot Digital and why we're a compelling investment. To begin with, it's a very unique product. It's something that has a chance to have a global footprint, and it's not a concept. It's something that's being adopted as of today, and we're seeing the demand increase every week. We don't have even a sales force. We come in and we get contacted by email or by phone. Hey, we've heard about your product. We'd like to learn more. So it's a product that's already very much sparking a lot of interest. And then what we're now seeing is through trial and error, a lot more adoption in the product. And what I mean by that is we thought we put it on a casino floor and it would just automatically do well. but there's an education process behind it. And as we're educating on how to market this product from the casino card room manager to their customers, we're seeing a lot more traction, a lot more success. For instance, I talked about tournaments earlier. Those card rooms that have now taken our tables and embraced tournaments and listened to our blueprint on how to expand the business and gain more traction are doing significantly well. What we saw just today, we got results from one of our most recent installs in Jamaica. They just installed in November, and of course, they are coming off a very large hurricane. And yet, that didn't stop them from doing an enormous amount of business, close to $30,000 this month. Just a little over $25,000 in 1 month on one table. And with that, it's because they've used the tournaments as an anchor to bring in business. And as a result, the players have enjoyed it, adopted and playing the cash games as well. Those companies that are adopting our blueprint of tournament only and of different ways of attracting customers, and there's a long list that we're now working on to customize into the software and expand our footprint. We're seeing great success with that. And what we're looking to do is replicate what IGT did with slot machines many decades back. We have an opportunity as a company to be the one and only player in electronic poker tables. It's a very niche business and one that we have an opportunity to create a moat around ourselves. And I'll explain why we have an advantage of doing this. The fact is, the big slot machines and other providers, they have big wallets and big development companies that they can tinker with different deals and have a wallet to buy licensing rights for different movies or TV shows and make a slot machine. Well, poker, there's only so many ways you could play the game. And I think we've perfected that. And of course, we can always make it a little bit better. But what we want to make is the best poker experience on these tables so that when players come, just like Xerox was synonymous to photocopying, electronic dealers poker is Jackpot Blitz. And so we're trying to build a product, although we have other games that you can play, it's poker centric. What's most important is our identity is poker, whether it's Texas Hold'em, Omaha, and tournaments, or as Matt said, Caribbean Stud Poker or Ultimate Texas Poker. We want to be the poker table. And our opportunity is that we can expand that footprint very quickly into and we have a monopolistic position right now. It's a question of now licensing. And I think with the right time, we're also going to address that in a couple of different ways. First of all, the most direct approach is to get licensed ourselves, which is for a vast majority of the markets, that's what we're looking at doing. But in the in the occasional situation or circumstance, there's some strategic states where we'll probably partner up with what are our peers in the industry, but not yet our direct competitors, where we will white label with them our product. So that's the opportunity to grow and accelerate and soak up all the shelf space, if you will, or get that land grab, so that we basically have the entire market to ourselves. So it's to us, it's a positive disruption technology that has a unique and adopted marketplace for it. And if we can get out fast enough, I think we're going to have a very, very compelling investment on our hands, and a company that is going to be not only industry known, but a great stock in everyone's portfolio. This is, as you can see, the licensing. Matt, if we could just turn back, there's many more to come. And this is not updated because we've got a bunch more tribal that have just recently come on board. And we're excited to add more GLI certifications within probably the next month. As I said, we have more testing being done as I speak with you with GLI to allow more customization and more game and features that in this batch of testing is predominantly for tournaments, but there'll be other games as well. Thanks, Matt. Next. So why Jackpot Digital? As I said, it's not every day that you can invest in a company that's the #1 leader in its space at an attractive valuation. But more importantly, it's a product that its time has come. It's a smart table disguised as it's a poker table, smart table disguised as a poker table. But interestingly enough, anyone who plays it immediately impressed with the product, even if they're not a poker player. And the time is coming. We're seeing more and more automation. We're seeing more and more players that grew up with internet poker. So the adoption is becoming easier and easier. And if casino operators follow our blueprint and we're always refining it ourselves, we're seeing success. And we're really excited about 2026 because we believe the licenses that are on the 1 and 2 yard lines are going to come through, and we can expand much faster or have a bigger market to deploy our tables. But at the same time, we're seeing people really adopt the product and like it. And if we can continue with this, I think you're going to see this product worldwide in virtually any casino you walk in. So with that, I appreciate everyone's time, and we'll open up the floor for questions.
Thank you, Jake. What feedback are you receiving from operators regarding revenue performance versus traditional poker tables?
Well, initially, it depends on the operator. It's absolutely critical that there is a educational process, because you can't just put these tables and expect them to start generating money. And this is the type of things that we're learning. We're a very young company, and we've been learning a lot in the process and the type of contracts we write, ensuring minimum guarantees, etc. We never had this type of fine detail. Before we would build the table, we thought because they were working on cruise ships, they'll work everywhere. But where you place the product is somewhat important. But educating the marketplace that it's actually even available is important. And then also running tournaments and other different brand brand promotions are very important. And also in-game promotions and bonuses, which is what we're building, which live dealers can't do, or live tables can't do. That is the big advantage that we have, and we're now starting to realize and understand the market better, and we're starting to see the results really impact in a very positive manner. We believe that with the new customization that we're doing on the GLI certification for tournaments, it'll only attract more players and better success. Most of the operators really like it. For instance, there's a very large casino operator, very successful group in California that had a very significant poker operation prior to COVID. They had close to 50 tables. They shut down. They are now looking to reopen exclusively with our tables, because they want to go through the automation, and they just don't want to deal with that large staffing issue. So we're seeing that trend continue. And then whether it's a very large blue chip operator or a small operator, they like the business proposition. They pay us when they make money. There's no dead tables. There's no dead payroll. It's always a percentage of the business, where if they're making money, we're making money. So we're always very interested to keep that table up and running and service it properly and quickly. And everyone's incentive and motivation is the same.
Thanks, Jake. Are you pursuing distribution partnerships or OEM relationships to accelerate installations in new jurisdictions?
In certain jurisdictions, our preference is to go at it alone, because then we can keep a bigger piece of the pie. But in certain jurisdictions where it's either very time consuming and or very expensive, we are looking at white labeling or partnering with the product, and we're in discussions in 2 or 3 different jurisdictions to do that. But our preference is to go at it alone, because we can keep a bigger piece of the pie. It might take a little bit more time, but ultimately it will be more beneficial.
Jackpot Blitz supports multi-game play and regional customization. What's next on the product roadmap? For example, new mini games, AI-driven analytics, or cashless payments, or all three?
Actually, it's all 3 and more. There's a lot more that we're doing. What we are learning is that in-game promotions and bonuses will really increase interest even further, and gameplay. But again, the next round, I can't repeat enough that we're going to increase tournament functionality and optimization. which will make the product onto the casino floor as a must-have. So we expect to have that approval within the next 30 days. But on top of that, it's an ongoing process, just like when you bought your first iPhone. It didn't just end there. There's constant customization and upgrades, and that's what we're doing with this product.
How does Jackpot Blitz differentiate itself technologically and operationally from competing ETG or dealer assist solutions?
Well, to begin with, we're the only product of its kind out there for dealers electronic poker. So there's really no other product out like ours that's GLI approved or is on any casino gaming floor. So we're the only one of our type. Second, we want to focus, as I said, on poker-centric business. And we want to make it the poker table and be synonymous with poker. We don't want to compete in different verticals. Yes, we do want to have other game offerings, but that's at the insistence or the request of our customers. It's not something that we are going to go out and build. It's something that is either required by our customer. We want to focus on the poker experience and not necessarily just games, but many different other features like being able to order food from the table, etc. So we want to make it as comfortable of a product for the player's experience.
What key milestones, for example, licenses, installations, new partnerships, or revenue targets, should investors watch for in 2026 to gauge execution success?
Licensing is really the key, and we're well underway in that process. As I said, we expect to have a favorable answer next week from a very large gaming destination state, and as well as we have several others that are very close or near the finish line. But licensing is absolutely critical, and I think we should finally turn that corner in the first quarter with multiple commercial regulated markets. But we'll also be expanding even faster with the tribal business. What we're seeing is all the competitors talk to one another, and they're seeing the success of the most recent installations, particularly on the tournament side, and other people picking up their business. We had a situation where we had the product in northern Michigan, and they didn't run tournaments. They started running tournaments. They ordered more tables. It's basically use your advantages or your strengths to your advantage, and this is what this table is able to do. And we're also learning through this process because we're still a very young company comparatively to the other companies. And for those investors out there who are asking why is licensing so much more of the forefront for you guys? Well, we have demand for the product, but it's like having a car but not having a driver's license. That's the situation we're in. And the reality of it is, are the multiple companies that are out there. There's several like Light and Wonder, or formerly, and then IGT, and etc. People have to understand these are big companies that have been amalgamated, consolidated, or merged over decades, and that they've been able to use, aggregate of licenses. We're a young company that just has come up basically to the forefront the last couple of years, and so we've had to go through the licensing process for the very first time on our own. But we believe the tough sledding is well behind us, and we're on our way to receive many more commercial licenses and the tribal licenses. We expect to even accelerate in 26.
How many Penn Entertainment casinos in Mississippi? Potential table installations for Penn in Mississippi.
Penn Entertainment, I'll take that, Jake. Penn Entertainment has 4 properties in Mississippi. They've got Hollywood Gulf Coast, which is on the Gulf Coast, Boomtown Biloxi, which is on the Gulf Coast, Ameristar Vicksburg, which is up north, and Hollywood Tunica, which is also a little bit further up north in the state. So all 4 properties have expressed interest. There's no guarantee there's going to be installations at all 4 properties. We know that we have orders from the 2 properties on the Gulf Coast right now. But I should mention that Mississippi, that's just the tip of the iceberg for the jurisdiction of Mississippi. We're in conversations with at least a half a dozen or more other casinos right now that have just reached out to us actually unsolicited because they heard we were now registered or licensed in the state of Mississippi. That's before we even do any of our own outreach, and we do have relationships and have had expressions of interest in the past. So there's upwards close to probably a dozen other casinos that we have the potential for without even scratching the surface of speaking to the other casinos we haven't talked to yet.
One of the things I want to mention, we're seeing a trend where smaller casinos are, regardless, I mentioned the one in California that had almost 50 tables, but we're seeing a trend. A couple of our last customers haven't either reopened poker since COVID, or in this case, they replaced their dealers with our tables. So more recently, we're seeing a trend where you're seeing 2 to 5 or 8 table operations replacing the dealers with our table, and it just seems to be inevitable that that's going to be the business model.
Yeah.
How many tables are you able to produce per month?
That's a great question. We have our manufacturing in Taiwan, and we have the ability to produce anywhere from probably 20 to 30 tables comfortably, maybe more than that. At this moment, we can increase that production capacity, but we kind of taken our foot off the gas on trying to increase that capacity from 20 to 30 a month, simply because of licensing. We don't want to get into costs on manufacturing and warehousing the tables and having them sit idle if we don't have the licensing. We'll revisit that sometime in Q2 once we have a few more tables deployed, on maybe if we need to increase that manufacturing capacity based on the licensing approvals that we receive. So again, we come to the licensing forefront. That will influence greatly our manufacturing capacity capabilities. But if we had demand, there's no reason why we couldn't meet it with the manufacturing partner.
What about the gaming market in South Dakota, where casinos are everywhere, especially Deadwood, which is basically all casinos? Have there been any inroads into that market?
Matt, you want to take that?
Yeah, so South Dakota is a fertile market for us. That's the tribal market. We actually are in the process of exploring a distribution agreement with somebody with a distributor to cover off the South Dakota market. So we're aware of that market, and we are going to be attacking that market. The fertile ground for us in the early days has been the state of California, which has over 100 tribal, I believe over 100 tribal casinos. We've also had a ton of traction in the state of Minnesota, and interest in the state of Michigan as well. As you saw just recently, we installed our first 3 in the state of Wisconsin and at Seven Winds Casino. Those tables are, the early returns from those tables are looking very, very promising.
Will you partner with Two Kings Casino in Catawba, North Carolina, or a potential Lumbee Tribe Casino project?
I have not heard of, we have not heard of, I mean, we're open to everyone if it makes sense. Now, when I say that, there's a big disclaimer to that. We used to do deals, especially when we were first early in this business, with basically anyone who wanted a table. But now we have a lot more options, and we're not just going to sign with anyone if they can't meet certain criteria. First of all, we don't want to be competing with a live dealer. If you have a live dealer table, the only way we want to put our table in with you is if you're going to offer a game at the lower level stakes, or Omaha, or a certain game that you don't offer as a live dealer, or a game that takes longer to deal. So we're now putting a set of criteria that you have to check for us to be interested in doing business with you. Second, because we want to deploy our tables where we can get a higher return as fast as possible. Second, what are you going to do to market the table and build your poker business? Do you have a poker database? Or is it just, hey, I'll have one too, and if it works, it works? We're not interested in that. We have too much demand for the product and little time to get product out to operators who are going to make more money. And we don't want to have to educate everyone on how to build a poker business. but we do want to educate them on the right things to do to build that business. So we are much more selective, and that result of that is because we have a much wider variety list of potential customers that want the product. So we're in a much better position than we were when we first started this business.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We took it 9 minutes past the hour. Don't usually do that, but with the unusual amount of interest here today, we felt that that was more than justified. So thank you very much, Jake and Matt. Let me just briefly give everyone, especially those who didn't have their question quite answered today, ways to get your question answered. The easiest way would be to copy your question into an email and send it to jpotf@redchip.com. And if you ever need your questions answered by us about Jackpot Digital, call us at 1-800-RedChip. Again, that email address is the ticker symbol here on the OTC, jpotf@redchip.com. We also have a information page for Jackpot. It's jpotfinfo.com. There you can view and download the investor presentation and fact sheet and sign up for news alerts on Jackpot Digital. Finally, join RedChip's next webinar with Nexcellent Technology. That's tomorrow, Thursday, December 4th, again at 4:15 p.m. U.S. Eastern. Register for all RedChip webinars at redchip.com/events. Thanks again to our many participants today, and thanks a lot, Jake and Matt.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Have a great day.